Kicking off the afternoon sessions is going to be Erika Muelle. She is with the Customer Success Leader at Apigee. She's going to be speaking about the CS Revolution, Democratizing Customer Success. Please welcome Erika.
Hi, everybody. I'm Erika with Apogee, and I'm really happy to be here today with all of you. Glad that you guys are here. This is going to be an interesting conversation because I planned on 20 minutes. When I practiced, it took 25, and now they told me I have 15. So let's see how it goes. So as you all know, this is a growing industry, and a lot's been happening. There's been a lot of change. And in our program, since we started a little over 2 years ago, there's also been a lot of change. So what I'm hoping that we can get out of today is that I'm going to talk about what that journey has been, how we've gotten to where we are today, and then what we learned along the way. So hopefully you can take away a few nuggets from this that you can take away to your own journey. Do you have to point? Yes. So just a little bit about me. I love to travel, hence the picture of one of my teammates. She's from London. I flew out to Iceland, and we spent 5 days there and had a great time. So I recommend Iceland to everybody. And my career has been almost completely in consulting. So I started out traditional Accenture career path, went on to System House and some other smaller companies like Cambridge Technology Partners. And my first exposure that I had to kind of a customer success role was a client partner role at Cambridge Technology Partners doing PeopleSoft implementations. So those of you that are old enough to remember, back then PeopleSoft and Dave Duffield, bless his heart, had the account management model, which is much like today's customer success model. And today, in today's world, he has Workday. So as we all know, PeopleSoft ended up at Oracle. Some may think that's good, some may think that's bad. And now there's Workday, which is an amazing product, and they have a great customer success organization that was modeled after their original account management program, and then also after what Mark created at Salesforce. So I'm very passionate about the topic of customer success, both from the standpoint that I think that our customers are the most important thing in the world and that the focus should be on our customer. My boss may differ with me on that if you heard him speak this morning. But I think it's really important. I'm very passionate about it. And I think it's also that customer success is an important function within a company, no matter how you decide to do it. And there's many ways of doing it, as you've heard. So just to give you a little bit of context, has anybody heard of Apigee before? Oh, more people than I thought. So we are an API company, and really an API platform. And this is important to know because it kind of sets the context for the rest of the story. And we firmly believe that we help create the market of APIs in the digital economy. So we're leaders in the industry because of that, because we were one of the first ones there. And we've done a really good job of building out a complete platform, growing from just an API tool. So one of our focuses is to provide every tool that a company needs in order to go digital. So that includes every smartphone, every mobile app, every connected experience that you have, whether it's on the internet or otherwise, has an API behind it, at least one. And so as you build out your digital business, you have many, many, many APIs that you have to manage, secure, scale, analyze, and so Apigee helps you do that. So this is just a sampling of our customers, and I put them up there not just to show that, not just to brag about who our logos are, but mainly to show you the diversity of the customers that we're dealing with in customer success. So we've got brick and mortar companies that have been around for over 100 years that are going completely digital, and they are fully on the bandwagon going digital. The reason why they've been around for 100 years is because they pick up on the trends. They know what they're doing, they pay attention, and they take action. So they don't just say, oh, we need to go digital, and then put their toes in. They dive right in, and they go digital. So that's what's helped them survive to this point, and that's what's going to get them through the next 100 years. The other side of the coin is our digital natives, people like Cars.com, eBay. They know it all. They grew up in the digital economy. They arose from the digital economy, so they know what they're doing. They're already on the bandwagon. There's no need to talk to them about digital strategy. They are there. Two completely different audiences that you're talking to. The other big diversity is our contract size. So we have contracts that vary all the way down from $25,000 to our entry-level product to over $1 million a year. So once again, completely different customers, completely different conversations. I'm going to go through this really quick. Almost done. But this is what our customer journey looks like. So I think it's pretty standard. The only reason I bring it up is that a couple of the lessons that we learned is right here in the prepare, so we're going through the sales cycle. What we figured out was that if we didn't do the sales cycle right, that those customers were going to fail or had a higher chance of failing. So how do you take a customer that is so excited about using APIs to accelerate their digital business, because maybe they're already doing their own APIs or creating their own APIs within their business, they're building their own, and it's taking weeks or maybe months to completely roll out a new service. Whereas with an API platform, you can do it in a matter of days, literally, weeks at the most. So how do you take a company that's really excited about doing that, they sign the deal, and then they have no team or maybe no budget to move forward? And you've probably seen this in some of your companies before as well. But what we were noticing was that there were a lot of our customers that they weren't outright failing, but they were struggling so badly that by the time they got to the 1 year period, that we were losing them. Our churn rates in the beginning were awful, awful, awful. And part of the reason was because we weren't positioning them correctly to launch their first project. They needed a team, they needed some kind of process, maybe not a lot, but they needed something, and they needed the right expectations set on what was gonna happen once they signed the deal, what it was really truly gonna take to launch their first set of services and see some value out of the product. So we're spending a lot more time, we finally saw the light, and we're spending a lot more time in the sales cycle and dedicating resources to actually educating our customers. We came up with a workshop called the Success Workshop, and we literally spend a day and a half to 2 days with prospects, educating them on what it really means to go digital. And then the other part was the launch. So once you sign the deal and you're all excited and you have your team and you start, we're gonna, this is our backlog of APIs that we wanna launch, and we're gonna make this much revenue off of these APIs once we go live. And it's 6 months later, and they still haven't gone live with anything. Well, part of the reason may be because we didn't prepare them correctly, but what we noticed was that even if they had the right skills when they started their projects, they didn't necessarily have the momentum or the methodology to get to the actual go live date, which meant it was taking longer for them to see value, which meant that they weren't happy with us, and they weren't happy with what they had bought and the money they had spent. So we started out with a really, really light onboarding program when we first rolled out what we call our Customer for Life program. And last fall, we decided we needed to spend a lot more time and a lot more effort in that launch period, because we wanted to shrink. Our average go live time was 6 months, and we wanted to get that down to 4. If they hired our professional services, they actually usually did it in 2 to 4 weeks. So we knew we could get them there. We just had to give them the right education. So it was a combination of ways that we educate, but our launch coaching program was the way that we answered it. And so we've been doing that for about 6 months. So so far it's going really well. We're actually figuring out ways to automate it more so it can scale. But we've definitely seen an improvement from that. So some of the challenges that we've run into since the beginning, and still to this day, all of these things apply. Apogee has the mentality, and probably some of your companies do too, that you're different. We are different, and we have to be different in every way. So even if there's a best practice out there that works for the world, we won't adopt it, because it probably doesn't make sense for us, because we're different. So, oops, sorry about that. Don't touch the mic, they said. So that can make things really difficult, because no matter how good a process is for everybody else, we're not going to do it. So that presents certain challenges, and we work with that every day. But it also creates a lot of really great opportunities, because it forces us to constantly innovate. Always be innovating. That's one of our mottos. So the other unique challenge that we have, I think it's unique, no single person at Apogee owns a customer. Just gonna let that sink in for a minute. So no single person owns the customer. So everybody at Apogee owns the customer, which means for us that anybody at Apogee can respond to a customer issue, customer question, customer problem. So they don't have to go through somebody else to talk to that customer. If the CEO of Cars.com calls Joe in engineering, Joe's going to help them. Joe doesn't have to say, oh, let me get back to you. Joe's going to help them. So in that way, it's a wonderful, wonderful thing because everybody is poised and ready to help our customers. It's an awful, awful, awful thing because most of the time, the left hand doesn't know what the right hand is doing. Because yeah, awesome, we're helping our customers, but you know what? That's where it ends because when Becca engages with that customer 2 weeks later, she may have absolutely no idea that Joe from engineering had just solved this major problem for the customer. So communication within the company, with your customers, becomes a huge challenge when no single person owns the company. So how do you solve that? You have to stay to the end to find that out. The next thing is that we're a very, very, very technical product. Super technical. I've never worked with a product this technical before. I've worked with PeopleSoft and Workday, financials, HR. That was easy peasy compared to this. And so our customers deal with that. Even IT departments look at our platform, because again, it's not just an API tool, it's a platform. And the way that all the pieces come together, sometimes it just doesn't look like it makes sense. It makes sense, but it doesn't look like it at first. So it's very technical, and then we had 2 releases a month. And we don't announce it. We want our customers to be pleasantly delighted when they come into their office in the morning and find that everything was changed. And sometimes it's a good thing, and sometimes it's not. So I already talked about the communication and the content that we lose from not documenting all the different interactions. But the other big thing is the automation. So you know how in real estate, the 3 most important words are location, location, location? At Apogee, the 3 most important words are automate, automate, automate. After billings, billings, billings. But one of the things that it helps us do, the whole mentality of automating, it's not that we mean that everything has to be automated. It means you always are looking for opportunities to automate. And in our world, think about it, we're a digital company. If we don't automate, I go out every once in a while and people ask me for my card and I'm like, really? We're a digital company. If I pulled a card out right now, I'd be fired. So always think about automating. Always look for opportunities to automate. It doesn't always make sense, but a lot of the times it does, and if you think hard enough about it, you'll find a way. So this is the journey from the beginning of the customer success program. And I'm not going to spend too much time on this because I only have a few minutes left. But we started out 2011 and before with more like a technical account manager concept. We call them named architects. So these people were very reactive. They touched a very small number of customers. But the way I have this laid out is you'll see is the lines below that second and third line in the gray, the product maturity and the number of customers. So as you go to the right, it makes more sense. But in the beginning, we didn't have that many customers. So typical model, when you're early in your life cycle as a product, you're going to spend a lot of time with your customers making sure that everything works. And so in the beginning, it was all about just making sure our customers got through the day with our product. And then we moved on to the client manager role, which was very similar, except now we were getting more customers. So now the percentage of customers that we were touching was a lot smaller, but we were still acting more like in that technical account manager role, which meant that we were very reactive. We were constantly firefighting. Catherine was talking about it this morning. It was exactly that same path that she talked about. And then we went on to, and our churn rate was really high at the time. And then in iWalk in July of 2013, and I get hired in as a client manager, client partner type of person. And I'm learning about the product, and I have customers, and it's typical, a lot of escalations, focusing on a small number of customers. 6 weeks later, I get called into Tom's office, for those of you that saw him this morning, and he tells me, you know what, this program isn't working for us anymore. We don't want client partners anymore. Do you think you can come up with something new? Like tomorrow? Of course. But are you going to say no? So, so that's, as of the next day, the focus changed. Company I'd been at for 6 months. All I knew about the really true customer success program was what I had seen at Workday, which was awesome. So I said, I'm just going to do what Workday does. And that's pretty much what I did. So hired a couple of people right away. They helped me put the program together. We rolled it out in a matter of, what was it, like 3 months? Less than 3 months. And very traditional. You know, we were doing QBRs, we did a welcome call, we did a welcome email, we did check-ins with our customers. We went to the extreme of documentation. We were recording everything because our CEO wanted us to share information from the QBRs with the whole company. So every QBR that we had, we documented very carefully, and then those notes went out to the entire company for every QBR. So it was very visible, but that's how we got our product feedback. You know, that's how we did service reviews. It was somewhat traditional QBR, but we just had publicized everything, and that information was actually used and taken action on. So that we did really, really well. And so our retention rates went up. Almost like within months, we saw our retention rates go up. At the time, all customers were created equal, so every customer got the same treatment, except for like the Nikes and the Targets of the world that got a little bit more attention from our executives. From our perspective, every customer got the same thing, which we could do at the time. That didn't last very long. And at that time, we also had, it was mostly human interaction, and we had started to automate. So cruise on down to 2015, and I'm really running out of time. And we go IPO. We went public last April, which changed the world, our world anyway. So at that point, we switched from a very light onboarding program to our launch coaching program, which I talked a little bit about already. Our retention rates were still going up, but we were not scalable, and we were growing like crazy. I mean, the good news is that our revenues were going up. The bad news was that so were our costs. So how do we control that? So while our program was very successful, in the long term, it wasn't going to be successful. So we started evaluating customer success tools right about that time. That was at the end of last year. And we had talked about it for a really long time, but we were not in the position to implement a customer success tool yet because we didn't have control of our data. We still don't have control of our data, but we have a little bit more control than we used to have. So by the end of the year, we decided we wanted to go with Tango versus some of their competitors. And we started the project it's funny because we tell our customers to be ready to go when they buy the product, and it took us 4 weeks to get going. But we got going at the beginning of this year and decided that Tango was going to be really our source of the holistic view of the customer. So our goal is to get a holistic view of the customer in 3 minutes or less. Because no matter where our executives or any of our people are anywhere around the world, because everybody in the company may touch the customer at any given time, you want them to be able to go somewhere to get that holistic view of the customer. So how do you do that? You need a system. So at the beginning of a few weeks ago, we made some decisions because once again, we're evolving. The world is evolving, Apogee is evolving, our product's evolving. So what do we do to be scalable? And Tom talked about this a little bit this morning, but what we decided to try is a completely different model. So instead of having a customer success team that's centralized, we have a more distributed model. So what we did is we took pretty much everything that the customer success team was doing, and we spread it out to different groups in the company that were already touching the customer in different ways. So we're trying to make them more efficient and reducing our costs at the same time. So what came of that is that we figured out that we were going to be even more reliant on Tango than we thought we were going to be. So then we come to our new world, which is the world today, which at Apigee usually lasts about a week. And we're not one single person owns the customer. The way that we're looking at it is that the system owns the customer. So since we chose Tango's going to own the customer because that's where we're going to get our holistic view of the customer in 3 minutes or less. So our initial use cases are really important. I'm really running out of time now. And we're pushing the limits of what Tatango can do. So the Tatango folks have been great. They've been so patient with us because they've been through all these changes with us because we completely shifted on them. And they've been really flexible. The CSM team and the engineers and everybody have just been awesome, I have to say. And will it work? I'm going to skip that because I'm running out of time. Will it work? We don't know. But guess what? That's what we do. We say, okay, well, this seems like a good idea. Let's try it. And we roll it out, and if it doesn't work, we change it. It doesn't help. You have to be really, really agile, especially when you're a digital company, because, and in today's world with the subscription economy, you have to be agile. You have to be able to pivot constantly, daily, and more than once a day. And sometimes it's major pivots all in 1 week. And so in our case, this was a major pivot for us. And our philosophy is that no matter how much time you spend trying to get it right, you can spend months and months trying to get something right. You're going to roll it out, it's still not going to be right. So why not just roll it out sooner, balancing that speed and quality, and get something out there, work closely with your customers, partner with them, and they'll be a lot more forgiving when it doesn't work. And they'll help you actually create something that works, because guess what? They're the ones that know what works, because it's working or not working on them. So lessons learned. ABI and ABE, I like to say all the time. So how long ago did I run out of time? Okay, I'm almost done. I'll talk faster. So always be innovating, always be evangelizing. So I talked about this earlier, innovate, innovate, innovate. So I remember one day we got all these emails and people were coming up to us when we first rolled out the program saying how awesome we were doing and how cool this information was, because we didn't have any information about 80% of our customers for years. And then all of a sudden, we had all this information coming in. And we were doing stuff with it. It was awesome. Guess what? The next day, what's next? What are you going to do next? Where are you going to move the needle next? Where are you going to have the next biggest impact? So I don't know about you guys, but that's a lesson that I learned, a life lesson, no matter where I work, is always, always, always be innovating. And then evangelizing, that's just a repeat of what you hear everybody say, have a seat at the table, make sure people know all the amazing things that you're doing, both the measurable, the quantitative, and the qualitative. Because the qualitative, I don't care what anybody says, helps you get the quantitative results. So measure everything as much as you can, but also make sure they're paying attention to the qualitative stuff. And then learn by doing. Do it fast and learn by doing. I can't say that enough, and our customers can't say it enough. So this is a quote from one of our customers talking about starting the digital journey, but I think it applies to customer success too. So, if you're just starting out on your journey, or even if you're partway through, just start, just do it. The Nike philosophy, just get going on it. Don't procrastinate, don't delay. Just get going on it and learn by doing, learn by doing, learn by doing. It says it twice, I think. I just said it 3 times. So super important. So thank you. In every language.